NetsBoy, so let's hear what he has to say. His name is NetsBoy, he thinks the world is all over when the Nets just can't play. What up, Net fans? NetsBoy here, bringing your latest in your Brooklyn Nets news. All right, let's dive right into this episode. There's a lot to discuss, a lot to talk about regarding the Nets and the last few stretches of games. So let's go. Let's dive right in. Since my last NetsBoy episode, there's been 4 games, and the Nets are coming off what I felt was not an all-time high this year, but a really good stretch of games. And I kind of assumed that. I'm sorry, I got distracted. Nets dog just jumped into the room. Nets dog, want to say hi to the? No, where are you going? Oh, okay, bye. Oh, okay, never mind. I asked Nets dog if he wanted to be in the video, and he just jumped off the bed and ran out the room. So I guess he doesn't want to be in this episode. He hasn't been in an episode in a while, but anyway, so sorry, he distracted me. We'll see if he comes back sometime during the video because the door is open. Anyway, so they came off what I felt is like not an all-time high this year, but a pretty good situation, winning 2 games in a row, beating the Pacers and then beating the Raptors, ending the winning streak, which was really impressive going into the second half of the season. And they started off the after AllStar break stretch with a really tough, competitive, and very entertaining and crazy game against the 76ers. A game where the Nets were down by 20 at one point, and then they were up 20. And I'm just like, what is going on? And it went back and forth. And I knew once Wilson Chandler got blocked at that last play, Joel Embiid blocked him, I knew once it went to overtime, the game was over. Like the truth is, like, when you're playing a team that's that much better than you, like the 76ers are, the longer the game goes, the more likely you are to lose. And so once that happened, I knew it was over. I knew the Nets were not going to win in overtime. It was a very entertaining game. And look, I wasn't that upset about that loss. I felt like the Nets had a chance, but at the same time, the 76ers are one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference, despite the, all the rockiness that they're going through. And they do have a lot of injuries. Ben Simmons didn't play in that game, but that was a game the Nets were supposed to lose, and for them to go on that 44-10 run that they went on was awesome. And I enjoyed every minute of that because I've kind of developed a bit of a hatred towards the 76ers over the last couple of years. I think they're very arrogant. I think Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid and all those guys. I mean, I like Tobias Harris. He's the only one I really like. I actually like him a lot. But I feel like the rest of the team is very, very arrogant, and they just think that they're better than they actually are. And well, mostly Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, which I think both of them are great players, but there's something about being a great player and then like being arrogant about it. Like Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant and those guys, they knew they were better than you, but they didn't have to tell you that they were better than you. You know what I mean? They showed it every day while they played and performed. Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons basically especially Embiid, want to go out there and just not only prove to you that they're better than you, but also tell you, not just during the game, but just like throughout, interviews. I mean, Joel Embiid said he's the best player in the world. Maybe he's the best center in the world, but okay. Anyway, aside the point, getting sidetracked. Anyway, so I enjoyed that 44-10 run that the Nets went on. I enjoyed that game. Yes, the Nets didn't win, but the 76ers are a better team. Aside the point. Then the Nets came out and just absolutely dominated the Hornets. A game that I felt they should have won, and they did win. They were like, the whole team played well in that game. It looked great, and I'm saying to myself, the Nets really do have this turned around. They have this figured out. Kyrie Irving's out for the year. We know about that. The Nets have got to figure out this identity. LeVert's playing well. Joe Harris is playing well. Torian Prince is playing well. And then the Magic game happens. And I'm telling you, I don't get this team. The Magic are a team they need to beat. The Magic are right behind them in the standings in the 8th seed. At this point, they're only 2.5 games out. You have to come to play. You have to win this game. And the Nets just started out like, hey, they were the best team and they were the better team. And they came out and they were up by 19 points in this game. That first half, it looked like it was over. I'm watching this game, and I'm at halftime, and I'm saying to myself, this is what I'm feeling. I can't believe it. Here comes the Nets. They're finally going to go on a stretch. They're playing great the last 4 games. They're going to figure this out. Here it is. Here it is. And then the second half happened, and Terrence Ross became, unguardable. And then down the stretch, Aaron Gordon became unguardable. And next thing you know, the Magic have the lead. And I'm just saying to myself, oh my God, they're going to lose this game. And then it went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Sure enough, last chance for the Nets. A great defensive, stop by the Magic to force the Nets to stay around the perimeter. They couldn't penetrate like they wanted to. The Nets ended up having to settle for a god-awful Torian Prince fadeaway 3, which, this is why I hate that guy. I can't get that mad at him because under that circumstances, it was a broken play. That was the best shot you could probably come up with. But, I don't know. Torian Prince just frustrates the crap out of me. Okay, he looks amazing 1 minute and then he looks like garbage the next. And same thing with Garrett Temple. I hate players like that. And I know I got not crucified, but I know there was a couple people who actually disagreed with my last episode, my trade idea. Which, by the way, thank you all so much for commenting. I actually like that. I like having a little discussion. That was fun. So thank you all for you guys who commented after my last episode about my trade idea at the end of the season, trading away Dinwiddie for Patty Mills and Rudy Gay, and to throw Torian Prince in that. This is why I hate Torian Prince, though, and why I'd rather have Rudy Gay, because I understand the argument that Rudy Gay is not the same player he once was. He's shooting like 32% from 3 this year. He's only averaging 9 points per game, shooting like 42% overall. He knows how to play himself. He knows how to play his game. He knows what works for him. And Torian Prince doesn't. Torian Prince thinks he's Kobe out there, and he's not. He starts doing these 1-on-3s, these fadeaway jump shots, these really god-awful contested shots. Rudy Gay wouldn't do that. Rudy Gay would be like, you know what? I've been in the league now for 14 years. I know my skill set. I know what I'm capable of, and I'm not going to take dumb shots like that. So that's why I would prefer Rudy Gay over Torian Prince, just because of that. Even though when Torian Prince gets locked in and he gets going, he is impressive, and I will admit that, and he can carry a team offensively. But I just hate really inconsistent players. I really do. That's why I hate Torian Prince. That's why I hate Garrett Temple. Inconsistency drives me nuts. That doesn't mean I expect you to play elite every game, but it's like it's all or nothing with those guys, and I hate those players. So, anyway, Torian Prince takes a fadeaway shot. It wasn't even close. Nets lose to the Magic. And I'm thinking, oh my God, come on, Nets. I'm like, all right, well, I expected them to win 4 straight in a row here. That's obviously not going to happen. But maybe they can just bounce back against the Wizards. Another team that's fighting for a playoff spot. They're, I think, currently in the 9 seed. So, okay, Nets, let's go. Come to play. Let's see what you do. And they start off down 18. And I'm saying to myself, oh my God, here we go. They're going to... But then, Garrett Temple started getting going, and the rest of the guys started figuring it out. And Karis LeVert was amazing in that game. Next thing you know, the Nets take the lead. And I'm like, oh my God, they're going to do it. They're going to reverse the fortune. They're going to have the opposite effect of what happened with the Magic game. Nope. They lose that game too, down the stretch on a step-back 3 by Dinwiddie. I actually like that play a lot. I know Jim Spanarkel didn't like it because he loves everything going to the basket, but under that circumstances, I like that because who knows, if you went to the basket, you're not going to get the foul call. You might turn the ball over. You might try to force a tough shot. A 3 in that situation and an open 3, I like it. It wasn't one of those Dinwiddie half-step, deep, sidestep, deep 3 over like 2 people. It was a legit step-back 3 that created plenty of separation. I'm not mad at that shot, but it didn't go in, and the Nets lost, and now the Nets are 26-31, 5 games under 500, and have hit a new peak of low. Does that make any sense? How can you peak low? Well, if bad was up, then they've reached a whole new peak, because it's just, you can't lose these games if these teams are right behind you. They're now a half a game up on the Magic, and they're only, I think, 1.5 or 2.5 up, Well, I think a little bit more than that. I think it's still 3.5 up, but still 3.5 up on the Wizards. But the point is, they cannot lose these games. They've got to stay in the 7th seed because they cannot play the Bucks in the first round. And if the Nets want any chance to put up a fight in the playoffs, they can't be against the Bucks. The Raptors, maybe. The Heat, maybe. The Celtics, maybe. Those teams, not that I would ever expect the Nets to beat either of those teams in a 7-game series. I expect them to have a little bit more of a fighting chance. The Bucks, they've got no shot. So it's critical to get in that 7th seed. And losing games like this to the Magic and the Wizards is not going to help. And I just don't get it. The Nets can be down by 20, then be up by 20, and then lose in overtime. Then they could be up by 19 and then lose, and then they could be down by 18, come back to take the lead, and still lose. No matter what they do, they still find ways to lose, which is what this episode is. The Nets always find ways to lose. It's what they do. It's what they've done for years. In my last 20 years of watching the Nets play basketball, it's always been the same thing. They find ways to blow leads. They find ways to not execute at the end of the games, and they find ways to lose games they should have won. Simple as that. And unless that gets corrected, this is going to be a rough final stretch of games. Speaking of which, let's take a look at the Nets' final stretch of games. So let's completely throw out the window the idea of the Nets winning 4 straight in a row against the teams that they should have been beaten, because obviously that's not happening. But let's look at the next couple of games. They have a road game, but it's against the Hawks. You have to win that game. Trae Young is playing amazing at an unbelievable high level. The Hawks, they traded for Clint Capella. I don't know if he's back yet. I don't know if he's going to play the game. But still, the Nets are so much better than the Hawks. The Nets need to win that game. I swear, if the Nets lose that game against the Hawks, I'm just going to give up completely on the season, and I will not even expect them to make the playoffs. Because after that, they got the Heat in Miami, then the Celtics in Boston, and then the Grizzlies at home. All those teams are currently playoff teams and teams that have better records than them, except for the Hawks. So I can't expect them to beat the Heat or the Celtics on the road. So you got to win this game against the Hawks. You've got to get and solidify yourself in that 7th seed. I've completely given up on the idea of the Nets winning 45 games because they would have to go 19-6 the rest of the year, which I don't think, actually, I know will not happen. So I've given up completely on the idea of 45 wins. And at this point, I'm almost giving up on the idea of them finishing over 500. Because if they're not going to beat teams that are worse than them, how could I expect them to be over 500? At this point, my expectations, my lower expectations, is just simply make the 7th seed. Stay in the 7th seed. Even if that means you're going to have to win just only 38 games, be the 7th seed. Do not drop to the 8th, and definitely do not drop out of the playoffs. But right now, I don't even know what to expect from this team. Because every time I think they're figuring it out, and I've got something going for them, they just blow up and find ways to lose. There you have it. Let me know what you guys think about the last couple games, and so on and so forth. And like I said, I really appreciate everyone who commented and posted their dissatisfaction with the idea of my future trades. That's fine by me. Everyone has their opinion. I just think it would still be a better fit for this Nets team moving forward next year. That's just an opinion of mine. One more other trade that I actually popped into my head that I wouldn't be against next year, though once again, I said this before, I don't want the Nets to trade Dinwiddie. But if they did trade Dinwiddie, I want them to get players that would fit the team better. Not necessarily get the best player available, but best players that will fit the current construction of the roster next year. There's another trade that popped into my head that I actually wouldn't be against. And I'm not sure how well it would work or if it will even happen. But I don't want the Nets to ever trade Caris LeVert. I really like him. Caris LeVert is Nets Dog's favorite player. But if you do trade Caris LeVert for anybody, there's only really one player who I would want them to trade Caris LeVert for at this point. And that's Bradley Beal. I think that is certainly a possibility next year, especially with the contracts, with LeVert's extension. I can see the Nets putting a package around Caris LeVert and maybe, once again, my friend Torian Prince, because the contracts will balance out. like Karis LeVert and Torian Prince and maybe a draft pick or two for Bradley Beal. I can see the Nets doing that. I really can. And as much as I wouldn't want Karis LeVert to be traded, that trade makes sense to me. Like, if the Wizards are going to trade Bradley Beal, who, by the way, Bradley Beal says he wants to be there. And, with John Wall coming back next year, who knows how the Wizards are going to be, even though he's coming off an Achilles injury. So maybe they won't make that trade. But if they do trade Bradley Beal, they're going to want a adequate replacement for him who they can build around for the future. And Karis LeVert fits that mold because we all know as Nets fans that Karis LeVert hasn't even scratched his potential yet. Like, we can see how good he can actually be. And so I think that that's a really fair and logical trade for both sides. And then imagine a big three that imagine the team the Nets would have if they had Kyrie Irving, Bradley Beal as their backcourt, and then they had Kevin Durant, and then they saw Jared Allen, and they brought back Joe Harris, and they kept Spencer Dinwiddie. Like, that would be an unbelievable team. But I don't know, that just popped into my head. So let me know what you guys think about that trade. Y'all didn't like the last one I came up with, so let me know what you guys think about that one. If you think that that's a good idea, and once again, I'm not an advocate of that. I'm not saying I want that to happen. I'm saying, though, if the Nets did have to go and made a decision, Sean Marks decided to trade one of the three players, that's something I could get behind of and I would be okay with when it's all said and done. Because Bradley Beal, he's a great player. He really is. And he's just on a really bad team that apparently can beat the Nets. So let me know what you guys think. Let's wrap up this episode. Keep your eyes open to the next NetsBoy episode. And until then, this is NetsBoy. Apparently NetsDog never wanted to return. Maybe next episode. And signing off. When the